I am Danielle Moore in with your VON Major News Package for today, Tuesday, 10th December 2019. In our lead stories nationally, federal budget to be presented on Thursday, December 12th. And Nevis records over $450 million in public sector debt as the end of October 2019. Regionally, Trump impeachment Democrats unveiled formal charges. Internationally, Democrats unveil formal charges against U.S. President Donald Trump. And in sports, NBA rejects request from Rockets against San Antonio Spurs defeated after referee blunder. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this short break.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back, and now for the national news. The federal budget will be presented in the National Assembly on Thursday, December 12th, according to the order paper circulated. As such, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris will seek leave to introduce and have read a first time the Appropriation 2020 Bill 2019. The bill is to provide for the services of St. Christopher and Nevis for the financial year commencing January 1st, 2020 and ending on December 31st, 2020. In addition, the Honorable Prime Minister will move the second reading of the Appropriation 2020 Bill 2019. The sitting will be held at the National Assembly Chambers, Government Headquarters, Basse-Terre, beginning at 10 a.m. In more national news,
total public sector debt, including the debt of our statutory bodies, stood at $456.45 million at the end of October 2019, an increase of 3.81% when compared to the amount of $439.06 million at the end of December 2018.
Premier of Nevis and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Mark Brantley. Mr. Brantley was speaking in relation to the debt that the island of Nevis is in. He also provided some more figures relating to the debt.
It must be noted that the debt of the central government, that is, excluding the indebtedness of our statutory bodies, stood at $408.64 million in October 2019, an increase of 3.16% when compared to the debt stock of $396.13 million at the end of December 2018. This increase in the indebtedness is primarily as a result of new domestic borrowings from the St. Christopher and Nevis Social Security Board at 3.5% per annum to finance Phase 1 of the Island Main Road project, in addition to increases in our overdraft facilities, which have been used as bridging funds to finance the operations of the administration during the period of revenue fall-off from the closure of the Four Seasons Resort.
Nonetheless, the Premier said the debt stock from the external lenders decreased. Debt stock refers to the total value of debt that a nation owes to all lenders.
I am happy to report that we have been able to reduce our debt stock from our external lenders, which stood at $42.92 million in December 2018 to $39.61 million as of October 2019. This is part of our debt strategy of retiring more of our higher cost debt and replacing where necessary with low cost instruments, thus reducing the debt burden on the administration.
Premier of Nevis and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Mark Brantley. The Charlestown Public Library, located upstairs the Theodore L. Hobson High Court, will be temporarily relocated in the not-too-distant future. Junior Minister with responsibility for library services here on Nevis, the Honorable Troy Liburd, gave the reason as to why the facility will be relocated.
One of the challenges that we've had at the library, the building over the years, because of the type of architecture and so on, it's an older building and it needs a special type of care. And because of the fact that we've had the library in there for so long, we haven't been able to give the building that special type of care. So it has come into a state of disrepair. But we've been able to secure a temporary location for the library, and it's going to be right in the heart of Charlestown, in the back of the new Treasury building, the Slacks building behind here, both upstairs and downstairs. And we are hoping to move in the early first quarter of next year.
Meantime, the junior minister, while speaking in the Nevis Island Assembly last Wednesday, mentioned that the building, which housed the Gingerland Public Library, located in the vicinity of Market Shop, will receive an upgrade.
You would notice that there is an allocation in the budget for 2020 for the upgrade of the Gingerland Public Library, and we are going to hope to get that on track as soon as possible.
Nevis's junior minister with responsibility for library services, the Honorable Troy Liburd. In St. Kitts and Nevis on Saturday, 7th December, join the world in observing International Civil Aviation Day. Themed Working Together to Ensure No Country is Left Behind, the day seeks to raise awareness about the importance of the role played by the Organization of International Civil Aviation in air transport. The day was established in 1994 at the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Convention of International Civil Aviation by the International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO. In an address to mark the day, Minister of Foreign Affairs in the federal government and Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, noted how civil aviation has been beneficial to the Federation.
For St. Kitts and Nevis, as a small island developing state with limited natural resources, civil aviation is a bedrock of our efforts to develop. Whether it is in the area of international trade, tourism, logistics, or international business, we must ensure that we take advantage of the benefits of international civil aviation so that every man and woman in the Federation can capitalize on the global rapid transit network to build a better life for themselves and, by extension, for our country.
In closing remarks, Minister Brantley congratulated the new president of the Council of the ICAO and solicited the Federation's cooperation.
Let me also extend congratulations and best wishes to Mr. Salvatore Schicciano of Italy in his recent election as president of the Council of ICAO. St. Kitts and Nevis looks forward to deepening our cooperation with the organization during his tenure.
The Honorable Mark Brantley. Small businesses established and startups here on Nevis will on Thursday, 12 December 2019, receive an opportunity to showcase their products and services in a more public setting. This, as the Small Enterprise Unit, or SIDU, will be hosting a small business boardwalk fair on the Samuels Hunkins Drive from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. In an interview with the VON Newsline, Business Counseling and Marketing Officer at SIDU, Ms. Rhonda Thompson, listed some of the businesses that will be participating in the event.
We have the famous Sandy Fried Chicken, who will be there on board selling his fried chicken. We have Buddy's Cafe. We have Island Living doing fabric as art. We have tie-dye demonstration. We have the Culturama Secretariat pairing up with Cape Ear, that's giving away round-trip tickets to Puerto Rico, and Mount Nevis giving away a 3-night stay at their hotel. We also have cultural activities on display that you can come and start getting in the mood for Culturama 2020 as Culturama Secretariat starts promoting Culturama 2020.
With regards to the flow of traffic, Ms. Thompson provided these details for motorists and pedestrians.
traffic will not be closed down. However, there will only be one lane accessible to vehicular traffic, that is the right lane, and the left lane is secured for walking pedestrians, persons just coming to take a look at the fair. Just for their safety, the left lane has been blocked off. No buses will be allowed to pick up any person from that bus stop on that stretch of road there.
Ms. Rhonda Thompson. The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force has charged another man on St. Kitts for sexual offenses. A communique from the force indicates that a male was on Monday, 9th December, charged for 2 sexual offenses. The individual, whose name was not given, has been charged for the offenses of burglary and rape. The offenses, according to the report, were committed on Saturday, 7th December 2019. The individual remains in police custody. On Monday, 9th December, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, commissioned a differently abled friendly elevator at Government Headquarters, St. Kitts. The installation of the elevator is to improve access to Government Headquarters for the differently abled and those with special needs. In addressing those gathered at the ceremony, Prime Minister Harris expressed that this showed his administration's dedication towards improving the lives of differently abled while creating more opportunities. He further outlined some of the other projects his Team Unity government undertook towards accommodating the differently abled, and includes wheelchair ramps at the new East Lane bus terminal, wheelchair-accessible sidewalks, and wheelchair-accessible sidewalks at the Frigate Bay Strip. Dr. Harris added that, and I quote, "Improving conditions and facilities for the differently abled is not just the right thing to do for moral reasons. It is not just because people feel that it is the right thing to do. Improving lives in this way is an investment in our future and a part of nation building," end quote. He further pledged his administration's commitment towards building a stronger, safer, more prosperous St. Kitts and Nevis for many years to come. And finally, in our national news segment, scholarship opportunities are being offered in New Zealand, according to a release from the Ministry of Human Resources in the Nevis Island Administration. The scholarships are regarding postgraduate study opportunities. These scholarships are being offered to persons interested in pursuing postgraduate degree programs in the following areas: climate change, food security and agriculture, renewable energy, and disaster risk management. Applications will open on Saturday, February 1st, 2020, and close on Friday, February 28th, 2020. Programs of study will commence in February 2021. That is the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vaughanradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Vaughan Radio or our Vaughan Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Drive in style with your brand new vehicle. Compliments the Bank of Nevis Limited. We are offering 100% financing on all brand new vehicles with a very competitive interest rate. But that's not all. We are giving you up to 7 years to repay. That's right, 7 years. Contact us by phone or come into our branch today. All right. The Bank of Nevis Limited. My bank, your bank, Our bank, the Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook.
Who got the keys to my bimmer?
Welcome back, and now for the regional news. In Dominica, tourism officials in the country declared that the island was open for business following the general elections as cruise ships resumed calls to the country and an airline that had cancelled flights restarted service. Leading up to last Friday's elections, in which the Dominica Labour Party, or DLP, won a resounding 18-3 victory, there were pockets of unrest, primarily in the villages of Marigot in the northeast and Salisbury in the west of the island. The disturbances resulted in some road blockages, which caused delays and inconveniences for people traveling to the airport, although it remained open for flights and operated as usual. Apart from the cruise calls being cancelled just ahead of the polls and then over the weekend, Seaboard Airlines had cancelled 2 flights and rescheduled others. However, in a statement issued on December 9th, the Discover Dominica authorities said that now that the elections are over, things are settling down for normal businesses to resume. Dominica reaffirms that it is open to conduct business, and we welcome all our visitors to enjoy the nature the island has to offer, it said. The normal cruise schedule recommenced starting today, while the MV Marella Celebration docked at the Roseau cruise ship berth. Seabourn Airlines also recommenced their normal schedule today. Out of Barbados, the ban on single-use plastic bags will now take effect from April 1st, 2020. That's because government has extended the deadline from January 1st, 2020. The announcement was made over the weekend by Minister of Maritime Affairs and Blue Economy, Kirk Humphrey. Caribbean 360 quoted Mr. Humphrey as saying, "The manufacturers in Barbados of single-use plastic bags have over the last year been able to produce a bag that is made from a completely organic compound, a natural organic bag. They asked me, and the cabinet agreed, to delay the ban on plastic bags from January 1st to March 31st. The ban will take effect from April 1st, 2020. However, he insisted that this does not mean the government was reneging on its promises. Earlier this year, the government enforced a ban on all petrol-based single-use plastic containers, and those caught using the banned items faced prosecution. Faced with one of the worst economic and political crises Haiti has ever known, Haitian President Jovenel Moïse is trying to reinvent himself as a reformer. However, rather than tackle real issues in the country, he has set his sights on the business sector, the energy sector in particular, as the root of all that ails the country. While carrying out this mission, he is arbitrarily misusing the state's authority and judiciary for political gain and taking a perilous path to authoritarianism as he turns a commercial dispute into a criminal matter in order to distract the Haitian public from his disastrous rule, according to the MiamiHerald.com. In a tactical diversion, President Moïse has been publicly attacking independent electricity producers, E-Power, HAYTRAC, and SOGENER. He has arbitrarily ordered the unilateral termination of electricity contracts, ignoring both the legal framework defining the ways and means of conflict and resolution, and the international conventions to which Haiti has formally subscribed. Blinded by the need to divert popular discontent, he and his advisors do not fully appreciate the consequences of this arbitrary act on the future investments and upon the supply of electricity to the population. The Dominican Republic's economic activity will maintain its leadership in Latin American and Caribbean region in accordance with the 5.2% GDP growth in October behavior that allows the central bank estimate of 5% by year end. It is said It said the monthly economic activity indicator, or IMAE, posted for the second consecutive month a growth above the potential, registering a year-on-year variation of 5.2% in October 2019 after expanding by a 5.1% in September. These results reflected the conditions for the economy to close this year with an expansion around its potential of 5%, DominicanToday.com says. This growth would have been greater if it were not for the media campaign that affected tourism. The Dominican Republic reaches a remarkable economic performance of 4.8% in January to October in the context of an international environment characterized by socio-political problems and trade disputes between the main economies of the world, which has generated a synchronized slowdown of economic activity that affects 90% of the countries, the central bank said, quoting the IMF. And finally, in our regional news segment, news from the Bahamas. The government is looking to raise the minimum wage in the public sector to at least $300 per week, Labor Director John Pinder has said. He said internal discussions have been revolving around raising the minimum wage to between $300 and $350 for government workers. Tribune242.com says Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced the forthcoming increase last week, but exact plans have not yet been revealed. Mr. Pinder said it is hoped the government's increase will lead to the private sector to follow suit. Mr. Pinder said about 10% of public service workers are making minimum wage. There are about 20,000 government workers. He said the minimum wage increase is necessary because of rising costs of living. Mr. Pinder said the National Tripartite Council has been discussing creating a living wage, a wage high enough to maintain a strong standard of living. In August, Trade Union Congress President O.B. Ferguson said unions were agitating for a minimum wage increase between $250 to $300 per week because the existing wage of $210 is inadequate for the average Bahamian household. That's the regional news segment. International news is up next. Welcome back, and now for the international news. The Democratic-controlled U.S. House Judiciary Committee has unveiled charges against President Donald Trump, a key move in impeaching him. The first article, revealed by the committee's chief, Jerry Nadler, accuses Mr. Trump of abuse of power, and the second accuses him of obstructing Congress. The Republican president is said to have withheld aid to Ukraine for domestic political reasons. Mr. Trump insisted he has done nothing wrong and has dismissed the impeachment process as madness. If the House Representatives Judiciary Committee votes to approve the articles later this week, they will then be submitted to the lower chamber for a full vote. If in turn the articles are approved by the House, which is controlled by the Democrats, an impeachment trial in the Republican-held Senate will take place, possibly in early January. The impeachment process was launched after an anonymous whistleblower complained to Congress in September about a July phone call by Mr. Trump to the president of Ukraine. In the phone call to Ukraine's leader, Mr. Trump appeared to tie U.S. military assistance for Ukraine to its launching of investigations that could help him politically. A gunman has killed 6 people in a hospital waiting room in the Czech city of Ostrava before shooting himself in the head, police say. Armed police found the suspect dead from a self-inflicting gunshot in a vehicle 3 hours later. The gunman was believed to be a patient at the hospital, one unconfirmed report said. His motive remains unclear. Officers said they were called to the hospital in the northeastern city at 7:19 local time. Here is more from the BBC's Rob Cameron.
Police say the suspect fled the scene by car before turning the gun on himself. They've identified him as a 42-year-old man who opened fire with a 9mm pistol. The minister praised police for their quick response. They were on the scene within 5 minutes of the shooting, but questions will inevitably be raised not only about the motive but also over gun ownership in a country where mass shootings are rare, but many do possess gun licenses for their own protection.
And that is the international news segment. Sports is up next.
It's a sack full of deals each weekend at all TDC retail stores. Stay on our social media pages to see which deals fall each weekend. Shop TDC this holiday season. TDC is Christmas.
Welcome back, and now into sports. In basketball, the NBA has rejected the Houston Rockets' request to replay the finale of their defeat by the San Antonio Spurs, during which a James Harden dunk was incorrectly ruled out. Officials judged the ball had bounced out of the basket, but later admitted the 2 points should have stood. Houston were leading 102-89, but went on to lose 135-133 in the double overtime last Tuesday, December 3rd. Yet the NBA said the Rockets had sufficient time to overcome the error in the remainder of the game. Thus, the extraordinary remedy of granting a game protest was not warranted, it added in a statement on Monday. The NBA said that the referees had also misapplied the rules in denying Houston a video review of the play at the time. The NBA said it had disciplined all 3 referees from the game for misapplying this rule. Still in basketball, here are the scores from last evening's games. Clippers 110, Pacers 99, Cavaliers 88, Celtics 110, Kings 119, Rockets 118, Pistons 105, Pelicans 103, Magic 101, Bucks 110, Raptors 93, Bulls 92, Thunder 104, Jazz 90, Timberwolves 109, Suns 125, and Grizzlies 110 to Warriors 102. And finally, in our sports segment, in local football, the local football league organized by the Nevis Football Association continued at the E.T. Willett Park on Thursday, December 5th. Hard Times went up against Villa United. By the final whistle, Hard Times defeated Villa, scoring 1 goal for each month of the year, 12 in total. The final score, Hard Times 12, Villa United 0. That's it for our sports segment. The weather is next. The weather tonight, partly cloudy and breezy with periods of increased cloudiness and occasional brief overnight and early morning showers. The weather tomorrow, partly cloudy and breezy with periods of increased cloudiness and occasional showers, some of which could be moderate at times. Winds east-northeast at 12 to 18 knots, or 22 to 33 kilometers per hour over land, and 16 to 24 knots, or 30 to 44 kilometers per hour over coastal waters and high elevated terrain, with higher gusts in showers and squalls, mainly over coastal waters. Seas 1.8 to 2.4 meters, or 6 to 8 feet. A small craft advisory remains in effect mainly for the Atlantic Ocean east of the islands, and mariners are advised that seas are not safe for small craft operations. The sunrise tomorrow is at 6:29 a.m. The sunset tomorrow is at 5:38 p.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Tuesday, 10th December 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, federal budget to be presented on Thursday, December 12th. And Nevis records over $450 million in public sector debt at the end of October 2019. Regionally, flights and cruise calls to Dominica resume following elections. Internationally, Democrats unveil formal charges against U.S. President Donald Trump. And in sports, NBA rejects request from Rockets against San Antonio Spurs defeat after referee blunder. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Daniel Moore, wishing you a pleasant evening.